Namaskar. Hello, Kai. You started to study with me online a year ago, and then we we met live last November, and the first time we met, it was at the airport in Costa Rica, and then from that point, our journey continued, for 3 months through Costa Rica, Peru, back to Mexico, and you went back to US and I went back to Canada. Now I am in France and we are creating this space so you can share your experience about what it was like for you to start to study with me and to go through this journey, together up to where you are today. So first, how it was like, and after I will ask you another question.
Okay. So I feel like I'll address just the continuity thus far of our whole relationship and not necessarily the physical trip, the 3-month trip in itself. Because I've been reflecting a lot on this lately, and a lot of it is just beginning to understand and see not just life really, but the teacher as this stainless mirror that just reflects myself back to me. And so there's been, from the very beginning, there's been things that I've not been addressing, I've not been honest with myself about. And you have always been there to just be a completely no manipulation at all, just there as a stainless clear crystal mirror. And in that interaction, I've been allowed to see these different parts of myself that I've been hiding from or not acknowledging or not letting go of. And so for me as a student, as someone interested in the spiritual path and, growing into my own, that's been really kind of the theme, is becoming more self-aware, simply put. And I've just been really growing in appreciation of how someone like you has been able to always kind of hold that mirror up to me. And I feel it's very rare to meet someone who can do that for you. And so just in my experience to share with others, it's been an incredibly invaluable resource, as you can imagine, to have someone like Dhaya Dorje to come to when you're feeling confused or feeling like you're in a strange spot, just so you can really see these things that you feel and intuit, but he can really help point and allow you to see it. I think it's funny that you don't necessarily tell me, but you just allow me to see. And so it's always been this very just growing in self-awareness that's been very fruitful and very liberating. So.
Great, wonderful. What kind of recommendation would you give to someone who is interested to come study with me?
Give yourself that gift. For me, I didn't I didn't meet physically with Dhaya, like he said, until many months after we'd been meeting over Zoom. But I think we both felt it was right and it was a natural progression for the teaching in our relationship. But I think it's just about being honest with yourself. And my advice to anyone who feels called to work with Dhaya Dorje, to work with you, is really listen to that, and if you have hesitation or if you maybe have some concern about it, I would really highly recommend that you simply reach out to him and have a video call or even a phone call. And if there's things you are concerned about, you just voice them, or hesitations that you have. And I just know through my experience that he'll have nothing but give you this space to allow you to see what it is that's holding you back from perhaps coming to see him, things you need to let go of in order to perhaps move forward in your relationship with him. So yeah, I think just be graceful about it, and in my experience in working with Dhaya Dorje and seeing other people interact with him, I think it's just don't hesitate to reach out, it's as simple as that. Even for me, working with him, it's sometimes there's still a little hesitation, but I can see how that's completely dissolving and fading away. But I can understand as new people, he's a very powerful person, you could say, very unique in that regard. But it's always for the best. So have faith and take the leap and go for it.
Thank you. Well, you started, as you mentioned, and I mentioned also, to study with me online. How do you see the importance to be in live, like a physical presence? Because today we can see that everybody online, and the people are, I would say, trapped with online, But for you as a student, who had this experience from online to be in the presence, what was the difference for you? Do you see the value of
that? Very good question. At least for me personally, in my experience, it was, when you're online and you only have kind of this digital relationship with the teacher, can be very powerful in many ways, can still learn a lot. But you're still able to hide in many ways. And so in my experience, being in the presence of the teacher, it's a lot harder to hide. And I think if anyone is called to growth and to mature in any way, to be honest with oneself, you really need to stop hiding, ultimately hiding from yourself, but the teacher is someone who can really help you with that. So for me, being in the physical presence of the teacher was something very eye-opening for me, because I was able to see all of these limitations that I'm living with. And when you're in the radiance and presence of the teacher, all of those begin to become illuminated. And so sometimes it's hard to look at, but it's a very, very unique and powerful opportunity if you're willing to put yourself in that position.
So,
and I think,
Kai, sorry. What? Sorry, I lost it. We got to click. Yes, you mentioned at one point very important about the presence of a teacher. But many people, they understand, when they are learning something, they are cut into a schedule, a program. You come to study this, you're going to learn that, And we have, at this time of the day we do this, at this time of the day we do that, And as you have experience being with me, it's like, okay, natural, Of course, I did recommend you, oh, you should practice this and that, you know, in your free time. And then when we are together, we are together. There's not expectation to say, oh, today at this time it's time for class, for example. The teaching is an ongoing. It is the methods I receive whenever it happens to be that it is important to receive them, but there is an openness to it, you know. And so, how was it for you to be in such a surrounding where things are really more into the flow, you know? And most of the time, that's why I recommend people to come in a sacred journey with me or come stay with me, because that's the way I like to proceed things, you know. And also, you had a lot of space for yourself to be able to do your practices. You know? So, how was it for you?
Well, what first comes to mind is just with that situation is you learn how to become an independent and responsible being. I think a lot at first I came in with the expectation of, oh, you were going to tell me what to do, and there was going to be a schedule, and we're going to go do very kind of linear way. Um, but in a sense, I could see how so much of that would be a lot of dependence on the teacher and expecting you to feed me in a way. Um, but through that, through the personal space and through just being in a much more natural way, like you say, I feel like that's the key word, natural, is I've learned how to more just self-respect and intimacy with taking care of myself. And by being in your presence, I see that live to its fullest, right? In your level of self-intimacy and self-awareness. So I was able to pick up on that and begin to develop that myself, you know. And then in terms of just being in the flow and the radiance of the teacher, it's just like the old days, I like to say. It's just when I'm with you and in that experience, it's you just begin to become aware of all the little details, and you begin to understand that the teaching is not, all right, 2 o'clock, we're going to have a teaching, you know. It's much more spontaneous. And I'm here with some other students of yours, and we're sharing stories about our experience with you. And for me, all of the memories, the powerful memories that come up are all those little moments, you know, of being with you that weren't like official sit down teachings by any means or methods, or it was just much more natural and spontaneous. And so for me, especially this day and age, I feel that's a very, very rare opportunity for a student on the path to experience a being like yourself and with that level of intimacy and spontaneity, because now I feel it's very, you know, rigid in many respects. So it just allows for a much more natural flow of transmission and relationship and intimacy between the teacher and the student. So.
Thank you, Kai. This is great. Is there anything you would like to add up? You know, I don't have any more specific question, but any particular topic you like to share?
For me, what comes up is just, I think I already mentioned it, but I'll just reiterate it again because it's been something I've been really coming to appreciate in my developing relationship with you, is just the complete transparency and honesty that you have with me and that you allow me to develop with myself. And I just feel many people on the spiritual path lack such a person or mentor or guide in their life who is truly able to be unmanipulative. And so I would just, yeah, I've just really come to see how unique and rare that is to have a guide and someone who's um, just true and honest and unmanipulative. So um, I just encourage anyone who's listening to this talk, watching this talk, to you feel just the slightest bit called to work with Dhaya, to talk with him, to just reach out and see where it goes.
So, Kai, in the way things have been shared so far, we never talked about the method. We never talked about lineage, you know, and most everything that comes forward here is just being in the radiance of a teacher.
Yes, well, you bring this up. There's that balance, right? There's, I would say, the methods, as you say, more masculine, and perhaps more of this being in the radiance and natural, intimate way of kind of the feminine approach of relaxing and just being in the radiance of the teacher. But undoubtedly, the methods are of equal importance to that. And that's something I've come to really learn and respect as the methods, as I grow more familiar with them and practice with them more and allow them to unfold and develop within myself. So I've been doing Dragon Buddha yoga now, and I'm on this road trip and I'm able to do it, outside the car, just standing, and I'm just blown away by how powerful it is and healing and nourishing. But in terms of methods too, I'll say in my experience for other students, it's and being in Dhaya's physical presence, it's just don't rush, really work with, if there's certain levels or foundational practices, it's take the time to integrate those and relate with those and develop those. And then the other higher practices or methods will perhaps come, but really just coming to appreciate Dragon Buddha yoga in particular, and just really also sensing how and why it lays such an important foundation for the rest of your path, the grace of being path.
Right. Yeah, as you mentioned, also, the being in a feminine manifestation, which is more the intuitive, more developing intimacy, more being oneself, caring, and it is very present in my manifestation, But without putting aside the methods and the practice that even for myself is established in a quotidian way, It's like the feminine and the masculine approach are both very important. If we will live into a world that there is no disturbance, more into its natural surrounding, I would say that, okay, one can fully surrender to the feminine approach and things will work out once we have gained the inner knowledge of a sense of a true nature, But today, in the world that we are living with many obscurations and difficulties, the methods are very important because they help us to relieve obstacles, to get back to obstacles that can come from the physical body, energetical body, the etheric space, and all kinds of other, disturbing the mind with the Wi-Fi, with all these antennas, like, you've got all this pouring down in your brain, So you need the methods to be able to clear all this, That's why we cannot say you can just live from love and peace, This is completely an illusion, Even if you have the love radiance in your being, living exposed to all the surrounding, your being is affected. So you need to have methods to go beyond, And remove all obscuration, maintain the pathways of energy in your body open, and keep the mind calm, empty, empty in the sense that you are not cut into the thought system. The intellect is there only to be used for creating and generating understanding, but not for getting trapped into his will of suffering, So yes. So thank you very much, Kai, and up to our next journey, live, physically. maybe here in south of France soon. As soon the border open, and I invite anyone is interested to reach out, please. Bless me.